Hello guys, it's Naga here once again, after an abysmal night of non-sleep and being incredibly sick for 2 days. I'm finally able to record 1 day late, Kyle. So, in this week's topic, we are going to look at core versus casual games. Oh dear. Yes, we're covering this now. A little preface to this is everyone's got their own opinions and preferences, and people will like different things. Anything I say that isn't followed or preceded by "in my opinion" means that I'm not speaking for myself. So, try not to kill me, please. This isn't meant to piss anyone off. So, further, when I say casual games, I'm going to primarily be referring to the mobile games market. And when I say core games, I'm going to refer to mostly PC/console gaming. With that out of the way, let's take a look. Core games are the ones that run and look like a dream, but require a potentially hefty investment in a gaming computer or a console. Casual games are the ones that can be played on a modest PC, but are almost always mobile games. An example, I just contradicted myself, so let me explain there. A casual game on the PC would be something like Farmville, or Bejeweled, or that other one. People say Plants vs. Zombies is casual, but I don't really know. I don't think that's quite correct. Anyway. So, it used to be that Bejeweled was a casual game, but then cell phones and Android and iPhones happened, and the gaming market expanded viciously. The two are very, very different beasts, core and casual games. So, even if attempts on both sides have been made to bridge the gap, there's a lot to overcome for casual games to even look like core games. Contrastingly, which isn't the word, core games require a time and monetary investment that is often far too complex for most casual gamers. I'd like to look at this as unbiased as possible, but it should be noted that casual games have a lot more conditions and pitfalls than core games usually do, and I will of course be covering that today as well. So, core games often offer you amazing visuals, an engrossing story, a brilliant soundtrack, sharply written characters, or an adventure that is almost never done on a casual platform. That was my telegram. I'm so sorry about that. I'm an idiot. Casual games, however, offer you 5 to 15 minute chunks of activity so you can pull your head down and have a quick sesh of it anywhere. The main draw is the ease of use and short bursts. Now, the negative for most core games is the requirement to invest in either a moderately strong PC or a new console, something that can easily run you up £300 with just the console and game configuration for one title. The negative of most casual games is their simplicity, their lack of appeal beyond the first hour, if that, and the often shady, sleazy way developers created the game to sucker people out of their money. It doesn't help that quick sessions often amount to, I'm on the toilet, let's see if my gremlin's leveled up today or not. Hilariously, casual games are sometimes known as toilet games. Again, this isn't my opinion, although I find it very funny because I'm 5. Most people decide to primarily get into one or the other, but there doesn't have to be exclusivity. I'm a core gamer myself. I got a healthy gaming PC, dual monitors. Even though it's more of a control center than a gaming rig, I do use it for gaming. A lot. Like, a lot. However, every night I'll steal the roommate's cell phone and slap some dungeon boss on, see what the nearest event is, farm up premium currency by doing well at the side area of the game. I'm not even sure why I keep coming back, but I keep coming back, so... So there's almost always this overlap. One just has to be willing to invest time for core games to branch out and hook you in, or tolerate the relatively simplistic casual games. I've tried almost every noteworthy casual game out there and came to the conclusion that I didn't like an overwhelming amount of them, myself personally. What I saw was luck-based gameplay, forced multiplayer nonsense, or the biggest offender, pay-to-play mentality. It said it was free, but you have, quote-unquote, to spend money for premium currency to do whatever, really. It's usually some sort of time gate that they put in front of you. Often unreasonable one, obviously. If you don't, you're bombarded with insufferably long waiting times, nagging messages, if not guilting nagging messages, because those are a thing too. I used to really like Quiz RPG on Android until I realized that the balance was completely off in order to nudge people to spend money on premium currency so that they could acquire new, temporarily overpowered cards. That my fully leveled team, after months and months of play, was ineffective against certain quests with the amount of hours I put in, gave me a really bad taste in my mouth, so I stopped. I was loyal to this game. I kept coming back. I told a few friends about it. I got someone else hooked temporarily. And my reward for that is no bitch, you spend more money. No thank you. No. It's worth noting, though, that this is the somewhat complex casual game. Quiz RPG, that is. Something like, because of course it incorporates trivia knowledge, timing. It's not quite that simple. It's not that much more complex, but it is still a rank or two above normal casual games. So something like Candy Crush is as simple as you can possibly get. But of course you're still being preyed upon for your money. Do you want to play? Well, you're out of lives, but you could buy some more. I mean, there's no need to wait like a loser, right? Oh, hey, that power-up, that could help you. That costs money too. Gosh, even though you can rarely get one. So they're making these nice little loopholes. Well, you can do this, but we're not making you. You can just wait. Terrible. Ugh, yuck. Hey, just thinking about it sends shivers down my spine. Ugh. The game does an amazing job at hooking you in, though. For the first 10 or so levels, they're designed to be really, really hard to fail, and then the training wheels come off. The farther you get from the first few levels, the more luck-based the grids get, leading to many, often guaranteed failures. Failures that lead to frustration, the oh yeah impulse that will propel you to want to win. That is the moment they want you to reach. The moment when you're so angry, you would very happily open your wallet to not be angry anymore. This is conditioning, pure and simple. Many have looked at this, and there have been many analyses about this. I'll probably, if I remember, to link a few of these in the description. If I haven't, please point it out, and I will. I am not operating at 100% today at all. So, I'm super not a fan of this kind of microtransaction-laden, dishonest gameplay, if you can even call it gameplay. It gets a bit ludicrous when you reach gates, too, in Candy Crush. They require tokens to unlock that you can get one of every 24 hours, and most of these need 3. But you could bypass it with money. Personally, it just makes my skin crawl. It's dishonest, it's nasty, and it preys on people. It's not a game as much of a Skinner box. It's a colourful and initially very addicting Skinner box, to be sure, but it has to be to pull people in. Core games often have some issues too, but rarely are they as bad or obvious as that. They'll be more subtle or, shall we say, nuanced in their trickery. It used to be that DRM could give you no end of trouble, force you to call a few people if you installed the game too many times, or even screw with your computer in various ways. And DRM's digital rights management was what made sure you aren't a filthy pirate. So its job it was to make sure that your disk isn't copied, and it would often fail to do that in spectacular ways. So, thanks for platforms like Steam, however, DRM is largely a thing of the past, and that is a wonderful thing. The paying customer used to be inconvenienced by some of these software and copy protection software, just to put a small insignificant thorn in pirates' side. It used to be that the pirates got the better experience over the paying customers because they removed the offending DRM and all the bugs and issues with it. The pirated game, right, that you got for free was of higher quality than the release game at $40, $60 unpatched because the DRM didn't work. Astounding. Now, the biggest issue to someone who's a gamer but is also a layman is the first-time setup. Who am I describing? Maybe I'm describing a 12-year-old who super likes video games, who gets his first gaming computer, dad buys him a computer, and that's fine, we've probably all been there. And then what happens is, holy fuck, I need to update DirectX. Oh, my graphics drivers. Oh, my mouse isn't working. Oh, I can't get on the internet because my my hardware is newer than the supplied driver. So, you might have to hound for a lot of software. You have to maybe put on antivirus because your son's young and dumb and doesn't know what he's doing on the internet. And you have to create that safe environment. It's a bit of a pain. That first time setup, and it's much easier today. Just 10 years ago, some games that went through a series of 8 patches wouldn't let you install the newest patch cumulatively. You would have to download and install each and every single one, additively. You'd go one 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, and it was just a nightmare. So this is a major factor, is people who just want a game, who don't have any interest in the computing side of a computer, are possibly not gonna want to put up with all this crap until it's together, and then that togetherness will go, because Windows is gonna make it go away eventually. Phew. So, but some of these are important things. Just because you've done the graphics driver update doesn't mean it'll stay done. There's going to be a newer one that comes out with a new game that has graphical issues because they released it slightly weird, and you'll have to go and download that, and you'll have to install it. And it's not a super complicated thing, but it's a niggly, nitpicky thing many don't want to bother with, or are confused by. Then there's also the issue that various bits of hardware can simply clash and just not play nice. This is a super rare thing that almost never happens, but, it can happen, leading to things like the monitor just does not want to turn on, or it displays the wrong colors and you have to figure it out. Maybe one of your components is faulty and you have to either replace it or remove it, or just wiggle it into its slot correctly. So, with all I've said, an ordinary person would obviously go insane from having to figure out what the issue was in these cases, and might not even know how to fix it. So core gaming tends to be for the serious one of the two, but it requires a certain dedication and focus. That massive 60-hour sprawling RPG isn't going to finish itself, if we're talking merely on console terms. So you need to be coming back to it, remember how the combat is, what point of the story you're at, you have to see it through. So you have to fiddle with the PC to get that experience. Core gaming on a console means you have to have the dedication to see most games through. It's not a whole lot to ask for, but it can be daunting to see something on the box that says it's 50-hour story. Now, to me, that's a wonderful thing, because that means that it's big and grand and hopefully not padded with grinding, and I can actually enjoy good writing and characters. But to the man who works works a 12-hour shift, has barely got the time to eat, that's going to be super daunting. Like half an hour apart checkpoints, you guys going to go, oh, I don't know if I can spare half an hour for this now, because I've got to do whatever. There's people that different things appeal to. Let's see, I completely lost where I was in my script. Wish I could play elevator music for when I find where I was. Okay, so the biggest issue in core games seems to be facing is pointless forced online multiplayer component, or an over-reliance on servers to host this multiplayer portion of their games. For multiplayer-only games, this is really bad, as they need the servers to be up immediately and flawlessly, but often the demand for a product is underestimated, so way more people can end up buying a product, which means way more people will try to log in, which means way more people will not be able to log in because the servers can't handle it. So that's a thing that's been happening quite recently. If you can even log in, you'll be warping and lagging all over. It's not fun. And one of the biggest offenders in recent memory is Diablo 3. However many 10 plus whatever years after Diablo, the beloved Diablo 2, this comes out, and people couldn't play for days and for weeks. There was outrage, justified outrage, that you spent full price on a product that you could no longer access. And it was rubbish, because you could access it in theory if they didn't design it so you couldn't. What the game did was, instead of creating a single-player story that would later open up into a multiplayer segment if you decided for it to do so, if you invited a guy to your party, and then it became a multiplayer game, it started as a simulated multiplayer game that you were the only person in. So it had to be online at all times, so you had to be on the server. If you were not on the server, you would not be able to play. That's rubbish. I myself mostly played in single player, and, I didn't experience the launch issues, but I would have been pretty pissed off if the thing I paid $40-$60 for just did not work for a week plus. That's not how you release products. On the note of pricing, though, core games tend to be priced in the $20 to $60 range for the basic game, depending on the size and scale of it, whether or not it's merely a remaster or how long it's been on the market already. A $20 game might not necessarily be bad, just old enough to have its value drop naturally. At the same time, a $60 game might not be that big, grand masterpiece everyone expects it to be. So, for casual games, the entry fee is often free, always capitalized and often multiple times, until the microtransactions hit. In theory, you aren't charged money, but whether or not you actually aren't is up to your patience, or if the game design even allows you to do that. You know, I play Dungeon Boss, and every day I sign in, I get every time I open the tab, I get the game, I get one notification window that displays the current events going on. That's fine. And then I'll almost always get a second one. I think that's the one per day one. Buy this bundle. Oh, this character needs level up. There's this super cheap £40 bundle to level up this character once. Right? £40. For £40, I could get the complete Saints Row collection and literally have 100 hours of fun instead of leveling up a character. So, Dungeon Boss hasn't been as greedy as I call out other games to be, but I do not agree with their pricing, and I do not agree with some of the adjustments they have made to the, obvious in every game now summon mechanic. They've made it so you're no longer guaranteed a hero for doing a stack of 10 summons cheaper than you can do the one. Personal rant, I'm gonna stop that. Phew. So, I've had amazing casual games like Scalecast, okay? I'm a Scalecast fan. They're primarily an Android and iOS-based mobile game developer, and they have mostly simple products. This is the price, you pay it, and you have fun. That's it. There's no bullshit ads, there's no bullshit microtransactions, there's no bullshit time gating, there's no bullshit permissions even, because some will just try to get permissions to your, phone number, the phone logbook text thing, so they can spam your friends with advertisements. It's rubbish. No, Scalecast games are wonderful. They are deceptively simple-looking games that are more complex than they look. And it helps Scalecast that their games are usually of the long-forgotten, deliciously rare management genre, in which you run a game company, a clothing store, a spa resort, ramen shop, or whatever, and it takes a good few hours to do a playthrough of one of these, and then there's the extra playthroughs, often with secret stuff, more stuff you can do or earn. They're very fairly priced. Scalecast games run from £1 to, I think, $3.49 was the most expensive, and you do get like at least 10 hours out of each one. They're not, they're a bit repetitive, some of them, I will say that, but they represent good value and good effort for what you get most of the time. They have tried something. They have tried something new here and there. They have tried to do a free game that ran on a single ad on the bottom. Very rarely, I can't remember if it did this, if it would go full screen or not, or if it was just there. But that wasn't too bad, it wasn't too intrusive, and you could buy a few things to help you along, but you legitimately didn't need it. I think this was Dreamhouse Days or whatever it's called. It's either an apartment or a wedding one. And I hands down, I did not need to feel pressured over microtransactions. It played fine. So the company hasn't gone too far in one direction. I think the biggest misstep from them was releasing a game that was a monthly subscription. That's possibly a bit too cheeky. Like, they're very good developers, but no. Don't do that. That's silly. But usually Scalecast's casual games I'm all for 100%. You know what you're getting. You get value for your money, and it's simply fun. They don't step over boundaries too hard. They will poke the fan base, see what they want, see, they'll test the waters and see if they can go off in this direction, but it did never outright disrespected their player base, as some developers do this with merely their second game. Which is good. Do give Scalecast a look on iOS and Android. I highly recommend their games. Now, core gaming has been around for a long time. Initially, you had the arcade cabinets, the first gaming-capable computers, then consoles, possibly the other way around. From the simple and old all the way up to the flashy and new of today, core gaming has had a huge legacy and is an absolutely sprawling monolithic side to gaming, with some experiences that really do make you wonder if video games can be art or not. The expressions towards this come from many different facets and often invoke intense emotion. So, casual gaming has only emerged fairly recently in terms of mobile gaming. There wasn't really a mobile gaming until a few years back, so the market in comparison to the competitor is still fairly new. One of the underlying issues with casual gaming is that if you can do it better on PC. Fallout Shelter just hit PC after being iOS and Android exclusive for a little while. It comes with new content, it runs way nicer than on any device I've ever played it on. It has hotkeys, and, it's still mostly the same casual game. Still, asks for money here and there, but it's the same game that it was on mobiles and tablets. What I'm trying to diplomatically say is that these two markets do have their own audience, and despite there being an overlap, these very specific members are targeted, as they should be. However, there is a huge discrepancy between the two types of players. Because PC or console gaming requires investing more time and effort, not to mention money, it will attract people who know what they're doing slightly more in terms of gaming and want to commit to a deeper story or a larger experience. This is anywhere from 5-year-old kids who have access to the aforementioned gaming rig dad bod or the console, all the way up to 40-year-old people who want to relive some of that weird magic, that escapism from when they were young. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm fairly old myself, and I love escapism. I am completely 5 still. The problem initially with casual gamers was that if you look at demographics a little while back, it was initially literally just your mom. Again, I'm not trying to piss anyone off, hear me out. It used to be that a simple phone came with simple games. So, updated version of Snake or whatever. Then, access to Android and iOS store happened to roll out, so while Mum waited for the dishwasher, she could sit down, play 5 minutes of Candy Crush or Angry Birds. Casual mobile games are often marketed to housewives on top of this. Although direction has slightly changed since, some games now pretend to be sexual or edgy to lure in the teens, offering bare breasts and bleak bloodshed in black in hopes of pulling in some customers. Not players, customers. If you're of age, if you can pay, we're not going to be shy about asking you to do that. Now, I'm a bit hesitant to touch this subject properly because, while I don't mind mobile gaming, there's no way to do so without appearing really intensely rude about it. The general consensus among gamers seems to be that casual mobile games are indeed only meant for very young kids or housewives, and that they are simple distractions instead of actual games. Whether this is elitism speaking in part or not, there's a key element of truth here. A lot of games are specifically made to extort money out of players or to promote social media harassment, as I call it. This is when a game will hold an objective hostage from you and say, you need to ask 2 or more of your Facebook friends to help you complete this. A particularly bad example of this kind of game was Robinson on the Play Store. I got it, I played it, and it wouldn't let me progress. Specifically until I harassed people on a social media platform I haven't been on and never will be on to help me out. I couldn't progress with the game. I was very unashamed about it and offered absolutely no way to bypass it either. This was a key quest. If you don't do this, you're done. This is where you stop. I found that quite disgusting, personally. But certainly, however, if you keep to the stereotypes, then your mum might enjoy games you wouldn't. So I'm all for a good zombie apocalypse, shooting and hacking things to bits and RPG elements, but, this might be too gory or too complex for people whose mind is full of figures and worries already, who just want to sit down and have a mindless gaming session to unwind. That's perfectly fine. I enjoy Dead Rising, I enjoy Dynasty Warriors, and they're not exactly known for being high art, are they? So some people just want to sit down and tap a screen and see some silly people dance for them. That's fine. Some people will think that this is simple and crude. That's fine. You don't have to like it, they like it. Well, it's definitely nice that they have an outlet for these people. Because in principle, I don't oppose the existence or expansion of the mobile market. But I have serious beef with many traditional mobile game gameplay bits. That is to say, the worst of those are the ones where you buy ludicrously overpriced premium currency for real money to get a chance at something nice in some sort of summon or roulette. So you could very likely waste 15 to 40 pounds supporting a developer that does not deserve it and be left with nothing valuable to show for it. At the time of writing, 15 British pounds can get you many, many amazing games on Steam that would give you hours and hours of fun and joy, instead of a chance at a single item or character in a game you won't even be playing 3 to 6 months down the line. For £15, you can buy either, possibly both of the Metro games, all 3 Stalker games. You can buy some of the Saints Row games. You could own one of the Final Fantasy games that are, the good ones. 7 to 9 on PC, 10's out on PC, or is it coming to PC? Yeah, I need to look that up. You can buy these great acclaimed games that have won awards with 40 to 80 hours of gameplay for that much. You get a whole experience, not just a roulette roll. Come on. Now, don't think that because I'm saying this, there's no dishonesty in core gaming either. I said I'd be unbiased, and I'm trying to be. A few times now there have been videos showing gameplay that would not exist in the final product. Perhaps graphics looked worse, perhaps the gameplay wasn't partially or completely different, and though it isn't commonplace to do this kind of deceptive marketing, its effects are far more grand and far-reaching than casual gaming. When you put out a trailer for a popular game series or a franchise that people like, you're reaching potentially millions of people. If you misrepresent the gameplay to look better than it is, then people will spend the full $60 on launch day to play it. If you merely influence 10,000 people to do this, you just earn yourself a free 600,000. Before all the bad news in press gets out that actually the game is pretty bad, and we've had a few of those lately. On both ends and counts, almost everything comes down to greed. Not ambition, not passionate developers overreaching or messing up. Targeted greed. In casual gaming's case, they will try to shove you into a process reward Skinner box until you're comfortable, then take that comfort away and ask you to pay to have it back. With core gaming, it's DLCs out the wazoo, pre-order culture, season passes for games not even out yet with content not even remotely mentioned, so you're paying another $20-30 for maybe a few skins and maps, something that is super not $20-30 in value. The one thing connected to both core and casual games is greed. Independent of demographics, of intentions, greedy games will show you their rotten teeth really quickly, and they're just, most of the time they're not fun. A game focused on greed is not one made of love or expression. It will be super obvious. Asking for support is fine and fair, but when you're advertising things you can buy in the game you don't even have yet, there just might be a small problem with that. Evolve on PC has had the gall to say, we've shown you little to nothing of our game yet, here's a season pass. How fucking dare you ask me to spend more money when you haven't even shown me what that more money would plug into? And it turned out that Evolve basically died until it's gone free to play just now. It's picked up and there are changes, but a lot of people have been pissed off. From the old Evolve, from the changed Evolve, attitude goes a long way, and when one of the first things you do is say, we built our game to support DLCs like none other, and then you show off the season pass before almost anything else, you have to wonder how deep into the whiskey glass you were looking. Because you're not sane, let me tell you that. You're not properly in control of your cognitive abilities. So in the end, it's important to do what you enjoy, but it's also important to recognize that what you enjoy might be flawed. It's important to be aware of these flaws. Criticism has become a bad word. You're not meant to criticize everything. Oh, you're not meant to be critical. But you know what? What if the people making whatever you enjoy hear your criticism? If this was as simple as a cake and you thought, oh, yeah, okay, I love your cake, but the new recipe's garbage. Can you go back to the old recipe? They might ignore you. They might ignore tens of thousands of people. Or they might go back to the old recipe. If people are willing to listen and learn and treat what they're doing as an experiment in flavor instead of an experiment in people, there's a lot that can be done. Without criticism, you cannot better the product which you like. I have torn the Persona series to shreds over how bad the first game was. The duology of 2 has improved the gameplay significantly to where it was really fun with great characters. And then 3 came out and that was way better, and then 4 came out and that was way better, and I'm not waiting for 5, which promises heaven and earth. I cannot shut up about Persona 5. And even though I had no part in the criticism, the feedback, affecting the games as they did, now, the generation that is now, can look at a part of 3 or 4 and 5 and say, I didn't like this, I'm glad they didn't bring it back, or I liked this, I wish they brought it back. And there might be a change. There might be something for the better. And yeah, there's another crowd who will be campaigning for what they like, which isn't what you like, and they might get their way. But, have your voice heard. Just be respectful about it. Just be calm about it. You don't have to be a ranting, raving lunatic. People will notice the diplomatic person way before the rabble crowd. As a core gamer, I've learned not to trust reviewers and even suspect-looking gameplay trailers. Now, as an ex-casual gamer whose tablet died, and I only do Dungeon Boss now, it's up to me, and Fallout Shelter on the PC, it's up to me to realize when I'm being conned. Decide that my own self-worth is more important than putting up with the nickel and diming game. We should all play what we enjoy, but do be careful. Not everyone's a nice person in this world. Some of them will be out to trick you, to deceive you, to use you as a money bag. Just because you like something doesn't mean there should be 100% blind obedience and support and defense towards it. The lack of criticism kills creativity and greatly reduces the chance of a product becoming better in the future, at least from a fan direction. In absolute closing, whether or not you're a core or casual gamer, make sure you know what you're getting into. Uninstalling is only an option for casual games that didn't require money going in. A $60 PC or console game might be a lot harder to refund. Whether or not you are one or the other type of player, keep an open and, willing eye and mind towards the experiences from the other side that might be drastically different. Comfort zones can expand and you might find an amazing new thing that you never even dreamed about. So, keep on gaming, guys.